Hi everyone, it's Plastic EP here, and we're here about horror. That's right, scary things. We've got Chuckmaster Chucky. That's scary, and that's without makeup. I've also got Mark Horikana, and they're both going to talk. Thanks. I'm glad your vision looks perfect there, Cryptmaster Chucky. Charles Rosenay, meet Mark. How are you?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Chucky.
Nice to meet you. I've enjoyed the shows you've been on with Plastic.
Oh, cool. So, just out of curiosity, are you a big Chucky fan?
My name's Charles, so
Yeah.
it makes sense.
It's
my when I'm a horror host and I put on that persona, that's the name, Cryptmaster Chucky.
Do you wear makeup?
Do I need to?
Yeah, I'm just wondering because I work with a guy named Sergeant Horror, and he wears a pig mask the entire time. And I had no idea what the guy looked like, and I recently worked with him in person, and I didn't know who he was because he just had a pig mask all the time.
Right?
I love him.
No, I do. I wear a shock heavy metal wig and white pancake makeup, bloody mouth, black eyes. Yeah, I have a real cool.
Who was your favorite horror host growing up?
Well, I grew up in the Bronx in New York, so it was Zachary.
Yeah.
Chiller Theater.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Chiller Theater. I always thought, California had horror fans until I saw them standing out for 2 hours to go get into Chiller in the snow. And they were really big fans.
I'm trying to put up 6 fingers. Chiller.
Come out of the grave. I love that logo. That was badass.
Genius.
You want to know something? I was working on a show called Switched at Birth, and the kid was supposed to be a big horror fan, and we made the cake. He has a birthday, and he has a cake, and I made the 6-finger hand coming out of the grave from Chiller. It was an homage to it. But I saw Zachary sing with Boris Pickett, the Monster Mash at Chiller Theater. That was amazing.
That was a classic year. Yeah, Kevin does amazing shows, and some of the guests he's had through the years have been unbelievable.
Yeah, that was fantastic. My favorite horror host of all time, besides Elvira, of course, but is Seymour. We had Seymour, Sinister Seymour. He was my favorite growing up.
I love Svengoolie, and I'm a big fan. Yeah. They're all great. Count Verdal, Count. I forgot. He hosted some of the conventions through the years. Yeah.
The Blob, folks. The Blob this Saturday on Svengoolie. So,
when my wife wakes up in the middle of the night, I get scared too.
Yeah, Plastic's he gets scared easy.
Well, what he doesn't know, and I didn't realize you didn't know that, Mark, is I produce the annual Dracula tours to Transylvania.
It's amazing.
A vampire vacation for people, who would love to go to Romania, spend Halloween night in Dracula's castle. We visit all the castles. We visit Paneri, which is the original ruins of Vlad, and we visit Bran Castle, which is the one you see in all the movies that looks like a Dracula castle, but its only connection was that Vlad was possibly imprisoned there for a short time. And then we go to we follow the footsteps of Jonathan Harker from the novel Dracula.
That's badass.
We do that in a week. People go every year. Been doing it since 1998.
Wow.
And it's great. If anyone wants to visit DraculaTours.com, they can find out all the information about our Dracula tour.
No bullshit. I'm doing it. I'm very excited about that. It sounds great.
This was the first year, unfortunately, that we were not able to do it.
The world.
But we had about 20, whatever reservations, and we just rolled them over to 2021.
That's fantastic. I love it. Love it.
What's the scariest thing you've seen in Transylvania? Be honest.
Myself in the mirror when I got out of the shower.
Yeah, but you can do that now.
But you had a reflection at least.
See
that. We had some really beyond paranormal experiences visiting graveyards. Most of the things we do, like in a haunted house, if we were trying to scare people, we put it on ourselves. We make it the event, we make it the scare. But I got to tell you, it's the perfect combination of history with Vlad and fiction, of course, with Dracula. The people who go are all, like-minded. They love the horror stuff. And I guess there's other trips that have been, like that through the years, but they're, for lack of a better word, senior citizen oriented, where you do some sightseeing during the day. You may go to a castle. You may have a little history of Dracula, and then you have dinner and you go to sleep. That's when the party starts with us. Every night there's an activity. Every night we go to a club or to a haunted attraction. So, our trip to Transylvania, I equate it to my Beatles tour to Liverpool. It's done by a fan for fans.
For fans.
So I put together what I know I would want to be on the trip.
No, that sounds exciting. I'm all for it. I'm there. I love that stuff.
But I think the more you drink when you go to eat, the more ghosts you see. Is that right?
The more spirits you see.
Well, we serve plum brandy, which is the drink that was given to Jonathan Harker.
Yeah, that's right. I don't drink wine. Yes.
Right.
Very
the
cool.
Carpathian Mountains. We go right up the Carpathian Mountains. Up
wow, that's fantastic.
Pass. It's incredible.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Whenever
what movie are you working on, Mark? You're working on a movie. You able to tell us?
Yeah, I could tell you everything about it. It's really low budget. It was a friend of mine. He contacted me and he wanted Power Ranger-esque weapons. And so I made him a bunch of wacky weapons. And he goes, there's a character in it called the Beach Butcher who goes around chopping up people who are throwing trash on the beach. And ironically, all the props, I gave it a theme that it's called the Unholy Diver. He's in a diving bell, and it's a glow in the dark. It looks like a Scooby-Doo monster, but he's got a skull inside this diving bell, and he goes around chopping people up. And I played the Beach Butcher. He goes, I made the props. He goes, hey, you want to play the character? And so this is the Beach Butcher. This is what he looks like. This is what I made for it. But that's what I ran around like this. And I did this.
Nice, very, very cool.
And
thanks for showing us that.
And and the Unholy Diver has his way with me. He kills me and chops me up in horrible ways. But it was fun. It was like my old Trauma days when when I worked for Trauma, they basically would just go, hey, could you make some props and direct over there and write something funny? Wait, no, make it scary. Make it scary, then make it funny. That was my Trauma days. Although. And I know I get you in trouble a lot with this, Plastic. The best line I ever had was in a Trauma film, and it was cut out, and it would have been the best line ever. Ron Jeremy, of all people, was supposed to be the president of Trauma, and the Nukem High city is melting down, and Ron Jeremy is supposed to save us all and tell us what to do. And all we had to do is run up to the camera in wacky outfits and point at Ron Jeremy and say, he saved us once, he'll save us again. Let's listen to what he has to say. He's the man of power. He knows what to say. And I ran up and went, he could suck his own dick. It would have been the best line, and the entire movie was cut out. Sorry, Plastic. I had to throw that out there.
I don't know. Half the stories we get from you, Mark, I've got to explain. If you want controversy, just get on this show when you're on, because you never cease to amaze me.
With those films, woo. They were blasted, there was no money in them,
But there's some classics have risen to the top, though. Toxic Avenger is just, not only do I love the movie, but I even more so love the musical that they did of it. I don't know if you ever got to see that.
Never saw that.
I guess at the time I was writing a column called National Horror Happenings, and I wrote a review of it, only to find out that when it toured after it left New York, they used my quote as their running tag. So that's really
fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
Toxie was in both our Nukem High 2 and 3. I played Toxie at the San Diego Comic-Con for Lloyd. Lloyd dressed me up, and he stuck me there with all these great comic book artists like Stan Lee, and I had no idea what to say. And so I did a high-pitched voice. The only thing that saved and I kept talking about Richard Nixon and Eric Estrada. I was just throwing out stupid names because I didn't know what to say. I mean, these people were asking legitimate comic book and movie questions, and I was just being a moron, which works for Toxie. The only thing that saved my ass was the guy in the front row stood up to ask Stanley a question, spilled his Coke. And so I jumped off stage. I had my mop and started mopping up the stage. It was my shining moment.
That's brilliant. So I don't know if Plastic knows, but Lloyd Kaufman put out all these really low budget films under the Trauma band, and they're cult classics. They're low budget and they're all funny. They're all so much scary, but people love them. Yeah.
Yeah. Samuel Jackson, his first film was a trauma film. Yeah. I mean,
Oh, which one?
Oh, geez, I should have. I want to say Romeo and Juliet. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at. But yeah, I mean, like Roger Corman, like a lot of up and coming, soon to be big actors. It's a starting point. It's a great stable, and
Right.
Trauma. Anyone could work for Trauma. Anyone could go in there and just be part of making movies.
Yes.
How's that movie Kill Pussycat? What's that one? Kill Pussycat? I've seen that. The
Kill-
Corman
Kill.
movie.
Yeah.
Kill
That's a
Pussycat.
big movie.
Kill Pussycat.
And you know what I mean? Big movie. That's big.
Yeah. Who's that director? I'm sorry. That's a famous.
Corman.
It's
I don't think that was Corman. No, it wasn't Roger Corman. That
Who
was
did Kill Pussycats?
no. He didn't do a Kill Pussycat.
Who did that?
I can't think of his name. And
Can
I'm
you
a big
Google it?
It's not.
I'm a-
It's not Gordon, is it?
Gordon, maybe.
Herschel?
I'm a big. It might be. I'm a big Sloppy Seconds band fan, and they do a song about that. And
Right. Russ Meyer.
Russ Myers. There it is.
Sorry.
Man.
Right.
I got
man,
the wrong
man.
director. Sorry,
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Russ Meyer, made
That's
his
it.
claim to fame for other
Boobs.
large reasons.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's a movie and a half, I must admit.
Yeah. It was rated double D, I think.
Yeah.
Now tell me about your name, Cripmaster Chucky. How'd you come up with that brilliant one?
So, I started hosting some conventions, and I was working for this company, not unlike a Trauma, but on a smaller level, called Scared Stiff TV. And the director, Doug Politamo, would cast me in a bunch of his things. And then he wanted to sort of make a channel where I came on and hosted and introduced each of the episodes.
Love it.
So that was the character. It was originally Cripmaster Chiller Chucky, as a tribute to Chiller and to Kevin. But then I was sort of booked to do a competitors convention as a host and DJ. And Kevin and I had a few days there where we weren't friends. So I took out the Chiller name, decided not to do that show out of respect to Kevin. And I know this is all foreign language to you, Plastic, but that's how I stuck with the name Cripmaster Chucky. So if you go on any of my tours, if you go to the haunted house I do, that's how I sign my name. And I've got a book coming out this year, and this will interest you both. But I signed it Cripmaster Chucky, aka Charles Rosenay. It's 100 celebrities gave me their top 10 favorite horror movies, horror actors, horror themes. And I we'll do a show on that separately. But people like Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees, William Shatner, Ed Asner, Ruth Buzzy, Greg Hawkes, Elliot Easton from the Cars, Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's, great pop culture people, rock stars, actors, Bill Moseley, Chop Top, Scream Queens, athletes, Dave Winfield, the Baseball Hall of Famer, Little Richard, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. So 100 really cool people gave me their top 10 lists, put it together. Amazing cover for the book, and it's coming out later in the year, and hopefully we'll do future ones. So Mark, I'll pick your brain as to who we could include in the next volume.
I always, whenever I always talk to celebrities, I always ask them what their favorite. Do you know what Rob Zombie's is?
His favorite horror movie of all time?
Yeah.
Not the original Halloween?
No.
Tell me, please.
Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Would you believe this Saturday night, tomorrow night, I'm hosting Creature of the Black Lagoon in a drive-in theater.
That's wonderful.
It's sold out literally overnight. And it's a coincidence that you would mention that because, when people talk about Universal horrors, Frankenstein, Dracula.
Frankenstein's his other film, but he's got a tattoo of Creature of Black Lagoon on his leg.
Wow. Mark, what's your favorite horror movie?
Exorcist.
Mine too.
Yeah, The Exorcist, and then all the Universal horror films, the black and white, those are my favorite, and the original Haunting. I think that's but there's that whole group of stuff. But I could watch the Universal monster films, over and over and over again. I love them. I could have them in frames in my house and just have them on a loop. I'm a big fan of that.
I always say The Exorcist, and then I'll bring in all the Universal ones. But the one that I'll watch over and over and over again, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
And what about the one about the Brooklyn? What is it? The monster, the one we've got Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin lookalikes in that movie.
That was
Gorilla.
Yeah, that's a top movie. I like those comedy ones.
If I have an album where I do Jerry Lewis on it. If you guys YouTube the Hypnotics, Jerry's on Drugs, I think a really good Jerry Lewis. I was a huge Jerry Lewis fan.
Can you do one now? Do an impersonation of Jerry now.
All right. A pretty lady came in there. She's nice. I love. I'm sorry. It's my Jerry Lewis.
That was pretty good, Pally.
But what was funny about it is because we had a hardcore following. I mean, the Hypnotics, was punk rock, and and you'd get these pits that I wouldn't go in because it got so violent. But I would come out in a lab coat with the glasses, and we'd do Jerry's on Drugs. And Jerry's on Drugs is just a punk rock song, but I as Jerry Lewis am trying to say Jerry's on drugs with the band. I just can't do it. So it's a Jerry Lewis like routine. But what was wonderful about it is all these punk rocks with the skinheads and the mohawk would start going, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm skinny," and they're all doing the Jerry Lewis in the pit. It was fantastic. It was hysterical. I loved it. Wow. Jerry's on Drugs, the Hypnotics. So look it up on YouTube.
I will. I'm trying to find it as we're talking. I love it.
Hey, Mark, can you do me a favor?
What's that?
Do Jerry Lewis and say, I want you to watch Plastic EP live TV.
Wait. Do Jerry Lewis saying what?
Say, I want you to watch Plastic EP live TV. Say it in a Jerry Lewis voice.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I want you to watch Plastic EP on the YouTube channel. I'm sorry.
I was trying to lip sync it as you were doing it. You know who's a very big Jerry Lewis fan?
Who's that?
And should have, Eddie Deason. Eddie Deason played Eugene in Grease. He played in the movie I Want to Hold Your Hand. He was in 1941. He's a voice in oh my God.
I know the nerd, the real skinny guy.
Yeah, skinny guy.
Yeah. I remember him. And 1940, he was up on the Ferris wheel. It's fantastic.
He's a voice in SpongeBob, and he does a bunch of things. He's out of the West Coast.
Yeah, I can see where that guy would love Jerry.
Sweetheart of a guy. He should have played Jerry Lewis somewhere down the line in a bio.
Yeah, it's going to come up. People are they're going to want to do some kind of Jerry Lewis thing someday. A good friend of mine was one of the T-Birds in Greece. A guy named Barry Pearl. He was one of the main T-Birds. Yeah, he was a good friend of mine back then.
Very cool.
I've got Eva. Stephens Van Syok, Gary's wife, and she says she likes Polar Express.
Oh, Eddie Deason, exactly. She knew that, right? He was a voice in that. Yeah.
I would never have known.
Good job, Eva. You never know who's listening because, all around the world, Plastic EP is known for interviewing celebrities and schmucks like us. It's great. I love it.
I love listening to you guys. I got to say, Mark, you're so controversial off the camera. Every time I interview Mark, I don't know what to expect. I don't even censor it. I don't even edit it.
That's good because I put my foot in my mouth a lot.
Mark, can I ask you what was your first horror movie? What your memory of a first film?
My first film that I watched?
First horror movie memory, sure. It's got to be a Universal, right?
You want to know something? I think because I want to say because I shouldn't have saw it was like the Corpse Grinders. I remember. I think it was called the Corpse Grinders.
Yeah, that was your first.
That was the first film I saw. I should never saw it. Scared the living hell out of me. Probably made me twisted like I am. But that was it. My father and my grandfather and I painted together. He helped me put together the Aurora Frankenstein model. And it's like one of my fondest memories of my grandfather helping me make Frankenstein and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I had
Oh.
all the models. In my book, I have a picture of me at 4 or 5 years old with all the monsters in front of me built, and behind me a Beatles poster.
Oh, that's
It
fantastic.
just described my whole life right in one shot.
That's
But
fantastic.
I'll share with you guys. My first memory was my mom loved the scary stuff and really wanted me to see one. And when living in New York at the time, there was something called the $1,000,000 Movie, and it was on WOR Channel 9 TV. And what they would do is they would show the same film every night at 7 or 8 o'clock, whatever it was. So if it was Inherit the Wind or Love Is a Many Splendid Thing, whatever it was, if it showed on Monday, it would show the whole week. And she finally, we lived by the TV guide. That's how we knew what was on TV.
Love the TV guide.
And she saw Bride of Frankenstein. So she's been talking about
Right.
monsters to me. Let's watch Bride of Frankenstein. I don't know if I really want to. As a 4-year-old picture, I'm not really interested in it. And she sits me down, and I maybe made it through 10 minutes and ran to my room. Now, I never would go to sleep early, ever, ever. I went to sleep early. The next night it was on again. She sat me down. You're going to watch it. You're going to not leave. And it was one of those, watching it like a little through, just a little. The third night I sat through it with popcorn, and I loved it. And the fourth night I couldn't wait till it was on again. Fifth night we watched it another time, and I was scanning the TV guide. What movie's next? And she would always tell me at the time, you got to see the original Frankenstein. And she would tell me about the scene that she remembered the most about, the Frankenstein monster, Boris Karloff throwing a young gal into, into a pond. And when we watched it on TV,
it was cut out.
That scene was not in there.
Yep.
And I said, Mom, maybe your imagination was such that you remembered something that maybe the imagery was there and wasn't really there. And she swore that it was in there. And I said, no, I'm telling you, it wasn't.
He's coming back. I've got to ask you, Mark. Eva's asking me what you think of the movie
I'm back. Sorry.
The Living Dead.
I'm trying to get back.
Charles.
Back here.
Hang on.
Eva's asking us what you guys think of the movie The Living Dead.
Not a Living Dead, the original?
Yeah, well, must be.
I'm back. Sorry.
I'm a huge, Romero fan. Huge. Not a Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead. You name it. If it's got the dead in it, I'm there. So, do you want to finish your story? I'm sorry about.
No, I'm sorry. I got disconnected. So years later, obviously, she was right because we saw it from the DVD or the VHS, or it was shown on a proper. But they had cut that, and I never knew. I never knew they cut that scene because it was such a strong scene.
How badass is that for a film that old that we're editing scenes like that from it? I got to tell you real quick because it's a mom and me story. My father used to work nights, and on Friday nights she would stay up and watch horror films with me on TV. And one night she fell asleep, and it was The Crawling Hand, and she fell asleep like this, and she woke up. Her face was this. She literally did this. And I would sleep and it scared the living hell out of me.
That's a great story.
My wife is a teacher, and I just screamed in her Zoom meeting, but I have to watch that. Sorry.
I'm going to say something quickly. In Australia, right, we had a channel called Channel O, and this is in the late 60s, right? So I'm about 10 years old. And every Friday night at 10:35, without fail, we had a character like Sivguli, right? But his name was Deadly Ernest. And he'd show all the horror movies, and he'd come out of a coffin, and he'd have a guy on the side that would drink Coca-Cola, so he'd burp. And that was his friend called Igor, but you never saw him. And I'm not lying. I used to go to Campbell Junction. There used to be a thing called Boys Brigade. It was like Scouts. So let's say 8:30 in that time in the 60s, there wasn't many cars, right? And it was very dark, and the trees would move. And I'd come out of that, like Boys Brigade Scouts, and I'd be running down the middle of the road to run to my house because at 10:35, Deadly Ernest was coming out of his coffin to do one of those scary movies. And everybody here in Victoria, Australia, was that scared in the 60s.
It's great. I love it.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
So what's coming up, Charles? You got an event happening. What is it you got happening, horror?
I'm doing a new Bourne movie called Melbourne Conspiracy. No,
Nice.
he didn't get it. Never mind. So I've got I've been involved with a haunted house in Connecticut by the name of Fright Haven. How was that? How was that? Look at that.
Now, and it's going to happen? I mean, with COVID and everything?
Yeah, we were very concerned and very worried and how we're going to pull it off. But haunted houses, believe it or not, are one of the few places where you're already doing the 6 foot, social distancing, because when we allow groups to come in and get scared, we're not piling them in. We're getting a group of 3, a group of 4, a group of 2, a group of 6, and then we wait. And then the next group comes. So already the social distancing is in place, taking everyone's temperature. We're sanitizing all the sets before they come in. And the tough part is keeping the actors from going, 2 feet in front of people, because that's a great scare, is that startle where we come right in your face.
Now,
so that's the toughest part of it.
What I noticed here in LA and stuff is that it's all going to be drive-through, or they're going to drive up and they're showing movies and a lot of things where you drive up and they act in front of almost like a drive-in theater. That's the big thing here. But
right. Also in Japan.
I got some wonderful news. I'm working on it. I was working when the world came to an end on a movie called The Old Man. This is with Jeff Bridges, John Lithgow. Huge TV movie. It's massive. Jessica Harper's in it, if you're a fan of the Paradise Inn. I just got word that we're coming back. We're going to be tested. I think every 2 weeks we're going to be tested once, but constantly tested. But the film industry is coming back. We're going to be tested constantly.
Great.
Different world. But I'm thrilled to say it looks like I'm finally going back to work. And we walked away from this show, 5 months ago, and I'm excited about going back to that. So that's good news.
Phantom of the Paradise, the best horror musical in history.
Oh yeah. Paul Williams,
more than Rocky Horror, anything you mentioned.
I have the helmet. I'm a huge fan of the Paradise. Wow. Paul Williams, brilliant actor. We're songwriter. I loved him in that.
Genius.
I love that movie. And I love the song.
Remember you forever, Eddie, through the sacrifice you made. Can't believe the price you paid
for love. As the guy shooting up love.
Little Eddie Mitty, born in Jersey City, started singing when he was 5.
Never knew.
Can I say something there?
Never bothered.
Can I say something there? I've been dying to say this, and now you've brought it up.
The juicy fruits.
You know the ABBA song "Dancing Queen"?
Yeah.
Okay, if you listen to that song, there's one part that always gets to me, and I listen to the song just for this part where they go, "Oh yeah."
This is why your show is better than any other show.
Hell yeah.
It doesn't matter what we're talking about. You think of something that appeals to your life and you share that. It's brilliant.
You don't care how bad you bring down our song.
Oh yeah, I listen to that. Listen to Dancing Queen. I mean it. I don't care about the words, but when they sing, "Oh yeah," that's a part that gets to me, because I got friends of mine that got a cafe, and all they do is play Dancing Queen, and we sit there and look at each other, and we can't wait for the part where they go, "Oh yeah."
Okay.
Hey, I saw Exorcist. I'm not joking. I reckon that affected me mentally.
Really?
Oh, hey, look at this.
It affected a lot of people. I remember when it came out.
What do you got, Mark? What do you got? I can tell.
I'm sorry, Chuck. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Because I never know what this guy's going to ask me to do. So every Friday when I do this with him, I grab a tub of stuff, and it's just random stuff in my storage unit. But look at this, a signed Jerry Lewis picture, because I just realized I had a Jerry Lewis in here, but it's signed by Jerry Lewis.
Did you get that signed yourself?
No, I didn't. I bought it off a guy.
Because you would have probably had a nasty story of him signing it and being mean about it.
Get the hell away from me, kid.
Hey, I've got to say something. If I told you this story, right quickly, in Adelaide, this is no joke, near the Hilton Hotel. I'm having a steak with my wife in a restaurant. So I'm facing the back wall, and my wife is facing the front door. So as I'm eating the steak, my wife goes, Jerry Lewis just walked in the door. And I go, yes, sure. No, Jerry Lewis just walked in the door. I go, yeah. No, Jerry Lewis has walked in the door, and I turn around. Jerry Lewis has walked in the restaurant. Then Jerry Lewis sits up in front of me, and I'm looking him eye to eye, right? And he's got his family with him, whatever. And I go to the waiter because I know he doesn't sign stuff. So I said, waiter, can you come here? He goes, yes, can I help you? I said, can you go up to that man there, Jerry Lewis, and tell him whatever wine he wants to $35? I'll buy it for him. Right.
This is true?
Yeah, true. Swear. Yes. And anyway, the waiter goes up to him, and Jerry goes to him, like, what do you want? He goes, starts whispering in his ear. Jerry looks at me. I look at him like this, hello. And then the guy says, you can have a wine. So Jerry takes out the wine list. I'm not lying. And he's looking at it, right? And then the guy tells him to $35. He gets the wine list, throws it away, and says, go away.
Wow.
That's a true story.
That's great, though. That's fantastic.
I've had a lot of great interactions with Gary Lewis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his son,
great,
pop star.
Great guy, big Beatles fan. Performed for me in a club I used to run, and he's really a sweet guy.
What was it? Everyone Loves a Clown? Is that was his big?
Yeah, that's
that's interesting that you would go to that one because most people know Just My Style or Count Me In or
Diamond Ring.
This
Diamond Ring's a big one.
Was the biggest hit.
No, it was a good band. I mean, I thought it was a great band. I really enjoyed it. That's great.
Do you know he played in a movie called Out of Sight? Have you seen the movie Out of Sight where they got the turtles in it? They got everyone in it. Have you seen it? Out of Sight. It's Out of Sight. That's a movie.
Wow. Is he
from
in
the
that
60s,
too?
1966. The turtles are in it. Gary and the Playboys are in it. You got to check it out. It's Out of Sight.
That's
I'm
great.
gonna check it out. I'm surprised I don't know it.
Well, you can't know everything. I'm in Australia. What do I know?
Where are you at, Chucky?
I'm in Connecticut.
Hey, listen, while I got you there, Chucky, I just want to tell you, Mark, he's got a John Lennon event happening on John's birthday, October the 9th in Newark, right? And I want you, Charles, to explain to everybody, give us an update of what's actually happened, please, while you're on the net.
Well, we're actually going to announce on your show next week that it's going to be available as a streaming event for the whole world who want to see it. And it's going to be kind of like the concert John Lennon might have given had he still been with us.
Wow.
We're celebrating his 80th birthday. It's
Fantastic.
right on October 9th. And we'll hopefully have a link very soon so people can watch it in their homes safely and securely. And it's going to be pretty special. Imagine 80, www.rememberlennon.com. Very
Fantastic.
exciting. Yeah.
So is the live event still happening, or is it going to go virtual? That's what I'm trying to explain.
Yeah. As of today, we were told by the city that they won't allow it because they can't allow. The place holds 1,000. And I was willing to do even 100, skipping rows and all that, but they said the state won't allow more than 25 in the room. It doesn't make sense. I'll make it, I'll give those people, obviously certificates for the event to watch on their screens or their money back if they want. But I'd rather it reach, 10,000 people worldwide than 25 people in a closed place where no one else will see it. It doesn't make sense.
You get more than 10,000 people because Plastic EP and Mark are going to watch it, and Mark knows all the horror people, so you'll get it out that way.
I'm hoping so.
No, that's great. I can't wait for the virtual.
Thank you for plugging that.
No, it's a way to go. I can't wait.
So, Chucky, is there any horror films that you're looking forward to that's coming out?
Yeah, Quiet Place 2. That's the one on the top of my list. I've been enjoying some stuff off of Netflix and Amazon, all this. I just saw one called Finders Keepers. You mentioned Chucky. It's one of these doll movies.
Oh, really?
And I saw another one called The Taking of Somebody. But you know how when they're in all these Exorcist movies, this evil spirit always takes over the young girl or the young woman. You know, it's very sexist. These Exorcist movies, and this one is also a female, but it's an old lady with dementia.
Oh, nice.
Great concept, right? So they
Yeah.
don't know if in fact she's losing her marbles or if there's something beyond it. And it turns out, of course, it's an entity that's taking over her. If you probably Google and type in The Taking of, it'll eventually come up. But those are the two that have jumped out at me recently. Also, there was a really cheesy one called Assimilate, which was like a
I saw that one.
the modern take of what's the Pods movie?
Yeah, well, it's Invasion of Body Snatchers.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
watched that with the kids and they enjoyed that. So, I say in my book, I admit 9 out of 10 horror movies suck, but it's worth it for that one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, Shudder is like if sci-fi was Kmart, Shudder is like Target. You know,
Okay.
every once in a while there's a film in there that's fairly decent. I'm always looking for one of them that's good. Woo, you know, I find that the acting's good. I find that the photography's good. It's the writing that is just really, really weak in these things.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll scan, I'll do that, search bar to see what's interesting in horror in any of these, and it's all 5 teens decide to go to the uncle's cabin. Every movie is that.
Yeah, that's
if I'm going to a scary cabin, I want to go to Melbourne.
Yeah,
I want to meet Plastic. I want him and I to host one of those horror afternoons in a cabin.
That'd be fantastic.
Can I ask you a question? Now, I want to know how you have your horror collections now. We're talking 2020. My guess is you got VHS tapes. I don't know if you know what they are when they used to work in the tape machine. You got DVDs. You got Blu-rays. And then my guess is you got MP4s in your computers. Right? Like now in 2020, what is your collection of horror movies really about? Like, is it mainly MP4s now? Or is it you go and buy the DVDs or the Blu-rays?
I don't collect. My collection's gotten really weird. Like, I just came across this, which blew me away. It was the Evil Dead musical, which has never been released. And I got a bootleg of it on DVD. So I'm really excited about that. But
I'm sorry. I watched that and Carrie the musical the other day. I watched both those back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie, I got an upload of that too. I guess in this age, I got teens, for kids. And when I pull out a video, well, why bother? We can just watch it on and they'll find it. They'll find it streaming somewhere. So, the collection is kind of secondary. I love my collection consists of a lot of horror magazines, Famous Monsters of Filmland, Scary Monsters, Undying Monsters, all those fanzine into professional monster magazines, even the Fangorias, and I just love all horror magazines, and that's my biggest part of my collection. My monster models didn't make it from when I moved from New York to Connecticut when I was 10 years old. They all broke. So unfortunately, I never made more of those. And the films are just the ones that I guess I need to have in my library, the same way I have to have my Monkees and Beatles and Dave Clark 5 and Herman's Hermits and Beach Boys. I have to have all those albums. I have to have all the Universal and Hammer, DVDs and videotapes. So I still have them all. But it's just that they're just dust collectors for my own enjoyment, knowing that I have them.
Yeah, my music's Alice Cooper. I have a huge Alice Cooper collection.
Wow. So you will love to know that the $1 Billion Babies did a concert for me last September. It was Dennis Dunaway, Michael Bruce, and Neil Smith.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, great, amazing.
It's a great album too that they put out, the $1 Billion Babies. But I found this in storage. It's signed by the original band.
Wow.
Schools out.
I also got to say, Charles, did you know that Gene Simmons went to visit Mark with his son on the set of Power Rangers? He'll tell you that story.
Please.
Yeah. Well, What it was Shannon. They weren't. I don't know if he ever married Shannon Tweed, but it's Shannon Tweed's kid. They came into the prop room when I was doing Power Rangers. Just wandered in, and I was like very excited. And I had a Kiss My Ass CD on the counter, and he asked me what my name was. He signed it, and Shannon Tweed's kid he took the camera, and I had a Kiss Army sticker on the wall, and so he knew I was obviously a fan. But I had a Gigantor when it was coming out on VHS, a poster I had gotten, and I had it in the back. I was a big Gigantor fan, and Gene Simmons goes, Gigantor, and I go, Gigantor. Gene Simmons grabbed me, pulled me into him, and we both sang the theme song to Gigantor to the camera. I would kill for that video of me and Gene Simmons singing Gigantor, but that was Gene Simmons song.
Name the only sort of genre movie, horror movie that Gene was in without a Kiss connection.
Runaway?
Oh, good man. Yes. Right.
He was good in that.
He was good in
was
that.
It Tom Selleck? Tom Selleck
was the hero.
Yeah, Gene Simmons was good in that.
It's a forgotten movie. It's great.
Yeah, it's a good one. What was the other one? Trick or Treat that he did?
Trick or Treat was in that. Yeah, and then there was the Kiss movie, which
Kiss Meets the Phantom.
Yeah, exactly. Woo.
Hey, you know who played in Linda Lovelace for president, don't you?
Mickey,
the bus driver.
I tell you, I always bring up my boss Scott Buchwald, who right now is doing all this stuff, and he's going to be doing it for the Monkees. I don't know if I'm supposed to even talk about it, but he's recreating all these props from the original Monkey show, and he's doing miniatures for the dolls. Like he's making the what's the television with the eye on it, and you guys know
the Frodis caper.
He does his whole
wow.
stuff. He's doing all that stuff. But I was doing Rob Zombie's Halloween, and Mickey Dolenz was in it, and I didn't and like we worked together. I mean, this is a prop master that did The Prestige. I mean, he's a huge prop master. But he'll call me and goes, "Hey, Mark, you want to come work with me?" Yeah, and we work together all the time. And I know he's an unbelievably huge Monkees fan. And I knew Mickey Dolenz, and I didn't think to call him, and I felt horrible about that. And so I'm always trying to make up for it. Here's one for you. I was working on Bad Santa 2 with Billy Bob Thornton, and we were talking horror movies. And he said that he based his character from Sling Blade on Frankenstein. And he always wanted to tell Forrest Ackerman that, this story about how he developed his character through Frankenstein. And Forrest had died. But we sat, we sat there talking about it. And I told Scott I was going to meet Billy Bob Thornton at this place. And I told Scott, wear your Beatles shirt. And so I think he wore the cavern. Yeah, that shirt. And he was walking up, and him and Billy Bob Thornton just hit it off. And he ended up making sure his assistant got his signed CDs for him, his band signed by everything. But after he met Billy Bob Thornton and everything, we're walking back to our cars, and he goes, "Doesn't make up for Mickey Dolenz."
If he's doing all the props from the Monkees, make sure he builds a series of Mr. Schneider dolls.
I'll talk to him about it. I'm telling you, this guy is and has one of the biggest Beatles collection. You guys got to get together because you guys will love him. I don't know if it was the Forbes or some magazine did a complete article on him because he has one of the biggest Beatles collection and Monkees collection there is. That's all he's ever focused on. And you're talking about your thing about asking every actor what his favorite horror film. He has this monstrous collection of finger pictures from everyone from Bowie to Betty White to Rich. I personally got Richard Dreyfuss to give me the finger, but it's all these actors giving him the finger, and it starts with Polaroids all the way until now. But every actor you could possibly think of, he has giving him the finger, which is a fantastic collection of photos.
Guys, I got to say, we've got some very bad clicking coming on. I don't know what it is.
I know.
We've done 45 minutes. So, all I want to say is to everybody that's watching, thank you to the Crypt Master. Thank you to Mark. And do me a favor, just stay there, guys, all right? Just 1 minute. See everybody.
Adios, folks.